2017 began as a turbulent year for Venezuela, and it only got worse. Hyperinflation and years of failed economic policies led to a humanitarian crisis. Opposition protesters demanded an immediate presidential election in the hope of ousting President Nicolás Maduro. And it culminated in a bitter and deadly protest on April 19th, when government forces, armed with tear gas and water cannons, faced off with 3 million protesters in Caracas. The Venezuelan government has been heavily criticized by the international community, particularly the United States. President Trump released a statement threatening sanctions against Venezuela should Maduro push ahead with plans for a new Congress to rewrite the country's constitution. Maduro's administration reacted with fury.
Venezuela rejects entirely the bizarre statement published yesterday by the White House.
Unfortunately, we are in the worst ever moment of our relationship with the United States. We told President Donald Trump that we need a respectful relationship.
Despite the opposition, Maduro's administration seems to have only tightened its grip on power.
There is a large opposition against Maduro. It is not organized. They are, at the end of the day, very weak as a group against Maduro. You have a huge inflation, problems with corruption, etc. But the government coalition is united. Doesn't look that there is a chance of the opposition beating Maduro.
Elsewhere in Latin America, politics has been just as tumultuous. In Brazil, former President Lula da Silva is appealing against his decade-long prison sentence for corruption on the grounds that his trial was politically motivated. Current President Michel Temer avoided a corruption trial after he secured enough votes in Brazil's Congress to ensure his presidential immunity, but now faces new charges of racketeering and obstruction of justice. He's denied those allegations. In Colombia, the FARC rebel forces emerged from their jungle encampments to surrender their weapons to the United Nations. The guerrilla army now has the right to form a political party, but after 5 decades of conflict and 250,000 deaths, the rebels' integration back into Colombian society may prove the country's greatest challenge yet. For Mexico, 2017 was the most violent year on record. Here, the number of killings, kidnappings and disappearances linked to spiraling drug cartel violence were unprecedented. But it was the earthquake in September that caught the world's attention. 2 separate tremors brought hundreds of buildings to rubble and killed more than 500 people. Thousands more were left without homes. In the recovery effort, civilians proved more effective than the government, and many regions will take many more years to recover. It has been a year of political conflict, natural disasters, and some of the worst crime in history for Latin America. But the focus now turns to what is to come. 6 Latin American countries are headed for elections in 2018, and a possible political transformation which could further send the region into uncharted territory. Alasdair Baverstock, TRT World, Mexico City.